It's time once again for the Spearsy Spin with your host, the young and semi-talented Mike Spears.
Hi folks, and welcome to the Spearsy Spin. Friday, May 5th, 2017, and happy Cinco de Mayo. Well, as you know, the Trump administration has been working on a new healthcare bill that will take place of the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Well, there's no doubt that the Obamacare program had many faults and a very bad startup. It's also apparent that the repeal and replacement of Obamacare is much harder than the Republicans thought. But yesterday, the Republican Healthcare Act was passed. Already there are reports that this semi-bipartisan bill is flawed. However, I have no way in which to identify either the good or the bad, or even the ugly. Of course, the pundits immediately took to the airwaves, the internet, and their keyboards. It seems that these same pundits have some actual information about the new health bill. Well, I guess most people don't. For example, the GOP Healthcare Reform Bill will allow states to deny coverage for pre-existing conditions, including sexual assault. Where did that come from? How would an insurance company not cover a hospital stay for aggravated assault? Again, I have yet to see page 1 of anything. However, I would be suspect of a healthcare bill that would omit critical care for a sexual assault. The pundits also go on record as saying pre-Obamacare rape survivors who sought treatment for their injuries could be denied health care later on. They also claim that under Obamacare, pre-existing conditions were guaranteed to receive coverage, among them sexual assault. The American Health Care Act is going to change that, or so say the pundits. The new MacArthur-Meadows Amendment will allow states to discriminate based on medical history, reportedly, without addressing the subsequent high cost of health care for millions of Americans. Again, this appears to be from far left-leaning pundits. However, as of this moment, there's no way to know for certain if what they say is so. The House Rules Committee has posted the language of the MacArthur Amendment to the health care bill on its website. The amendment, negotiated in part by Representative Tom MacArthur and Freedom Caucus Chairman Mark Meadows, would allow states to seek waivers to weaken several key Obamacare insurance reforms that protect those with pre-existing conditions, and supposedly would allow carriers to charge more based on a person's health background. The amendment was negotiated between Leader MacArthur, who's a moderate Republican from New Jersey, and House Freedom Caucus Chairman Mark Meadows, with consultation from the White House and House leadership. So far, those who have taken a dim view on the new GOP health bill say rape, postpartum depression, cesarean sections, and surviving domestic violence are all considered pre-existing conditions. Companies can also deny coverage for gynecological services and mammograms, according to sub-pundits. Again, until we see the exact language, there is nothing definite. However, with that said, as the American populace, we do need to take note of what this new healthcare plan is about. And from where I'm sitting here at my desk, my concerns are deeply seated in the need for an expanded mental health insurance program. The United States as a whole does a very poor job in mental health for the average citizen, and it's 10 times worse for our veterans at the VA. The MacArthur Amendment also reads, "Nothing in this act shall be construed as permitting health insurance issuers to discriminate in rates for health insurance coverage by gender." Well, this would seem to me to be a no-brainer, but when you see language such as that in a legal document, for me, it becomes suspect.
Remove the jobs, break the schools, pull back the police. Let the streets flood with drugs. Let violent gangs recruit child soldiers and terrorize neighborhoods. Don't prosecute gun crimes. And when the media looks you in the eye after another bloody weekend in a major American city, call for more gun control. If our politicians are truly using the carnage they refuse to stop to attack the rights of honest, hardworking Americans caught in living hell, then they are guilty of the most despicable form of racism imaginable. What has been allowed to happen in our inner cities is an absolute disgrace. If the same epidemic of poverty, gang violence, and broken schools poison the neighborhoods of the nation's political class, you'd better believe they'd be talking about real solutions, not gun control. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Tell your friends and neighbors about the Spearsy Spin.
Hi, I'm former Blue Cam Jansen. Thousands of families have been affected by this historic rain and flooding this week across the state, from the West Plains in Valley Park, Missouri, to my hometown of Eureka. Families need your help. That's why the Blues and the Blues alumni have teamed up with the American Red Cross to raise funds for our neighbors in need. Proceeds from the 50-50 raffle and Blues for Kids silent auction from Game 5 will benefit the American Red Cross flood relief efforts. Volunteers will also be selling commemorative pucks used during pre-game warm-ups and awesome skate koozies to benefit the Red Cross. Your donation can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to those in need. For more information, please visit stlouisblues.com.
Hi folks. Times we live in today are scary. Religious freedoms under fire. Racial divide never more evident. Political powers fighting. Foreign countries looking to exploit our country. News media reporting unfair on issues. Folks searching out the truth. I listen to the news, then I listen to the Spearsy Spin. Mike Spears has experience, education, determination, and grit to get what's going on in our country. Listen to Mike Monday through Friday. I'll listen. Hope you'll be listening too.
Now, women who become pregnant or are domestically abused or raped must have immediate coverage for those related health needs. Moreover, for domestic abuse and rape, there must be an insurance protocol that will ensure the physical and mental health of all women. And that is one of my biggest complaints even before Obamacare, is again, we do not tend to do enough with regard to the abuse, the rape, and subsequent mental health follow-up with women who have sadly had to gone through that. So, what will this new healthcare bill look like? Well, with not a whole lot of dissemination, this is the feel of this bill as of today's show. It apparently ends tax penalties under the original Affordable Care Act for individuals who don't buy insurance coverage and larger employers who don't offer coverage. Instead, insurers would apply for a 30% surcharge to customers who've let coverage lapse for more than 63 days in the past year. It ends tax increases on higher-earning people and a range of industry groups, including insurers, drug makers, and medical device manufacturers. It cuts the Medicaid programs for low-income people and lets states impose work requirements on Medicaid recipients. It forbids states that haven't already expanded Medicaid to do so. It also changes Medicaid from an open-ended program that covers beneficiaries' costs to one that gives states fixed amounts of money annually. Now, if in fact this is true, a fixed amount of money for Medicaid, in my opinion, would be commensurate with pulling your car into a Walmart service center, having 4 new tires installed and balanced, and then telling the cashier that your fixed amount of monies this year for tires is $23. Probably not going to work. While there is no question that both Medicaid and Medicare need to be addressed and reconfigured, you cannot arbitrarily set a figure that condones one size fits all. The new plan supposedly overhauls the insurance subsidy system from one based largely on incomes and premium cost to a system of tax credits. The credits would rise with customers' ages and, like the subsidies, could be used toward premium cost. It lets states get federal waivers allowing insurers to charge older customers higher premiums than younger ones by as much as they'd like. Now again, keep in mind this has not been substantiated by us here at the Spearsy Spin. The list goes on to say that Obama's law limits the difference to a 3-to-1 ratio with regard to age. States also can get waivers exempting insurers from providing consumers with required coverage of specified health services, and from Obama's prohibition against insurers charging higher premiums to people with pre-existing health problems, but only if the person has had a gap in insurance coverages. And states could only get the latter waivers if they have mechanisms like high-risk pools that are supposed to help cover people with serious, expensive-to-treat diseases. A newly added provision would give another $8 billion over 5 years to help states finance their high-risk pools. Despite criticism that the waiver strip protections, House Speaker Paul Ryan's office maintains that since states that take the waivers would have to set up the high-risk pools, insurance companies cannot deny you coverage based on a pre-existing condition. Now again, we here at The Spin have not substantiated any of this information as to fact or law. The new GOP healthcare plan would supposedly block federal payments to Planned Parenthood for a year. Now, in another strange twist to this piece of legislation, there appears to be a mandate whereas mom and dad would need to keep their little cherubs on their healthcare family policy to cover those grown children until they get to be 26 years old. So those are the highlights of what we've been given thus far. If indeed some of the things that I have read, and again I caution you that I don't see this as being a done deal yet, but I for one would be very concerned about those insurances that cover women's physical as well as mental health, or in this case, lack thereof. You know, you can ask any mental health provider about the percentages of girls and women who are physically and sexually abused in our country, and you'll find the figure to be 1 out of 3. Now, I, however, subscribe to the belief that this figure is in fact low. In other words, I think that probably more than 1 in 3 women have been abused in one way or another in our country. My next concern would be mental health coverage overall. Again, ask any current mental health provider what it's like to get an insurance company to pay for more than 5 visits to their office or clinic. And it's actually worse than that. When a psychologist or any provider bills the insurance company, that provider must show a clear and substantiated diagnosis that is identified in the DSM. Now, the DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, And of course, it's brought out by the American Psychiatric Association. Now, for example, a patient that has been diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder would be identified in the DSM as 313.81. This is an exact criteria set forth by the APA, again, which is the American Psychiatric Association, as to how the provider may reach his or her prognosis. So, I, for one, will be looking to review the new healthcare bill, but moreover, as I've had in the past, it will continue to be now. I am a staunch supporter of insurances for those who suffer from mental health afflictions. Well, that's our show, and you know what we think. We would like to know what you think. So please visit us at thespearsyspin.blogspot.com and let us know what you think of today's show or any show. Well, any show that we have. I mean, I want you to write in about the Dick Van Dyke Show or something. But keep it clean and professional, because you never know what you write there may end up on one of our upcoming shows. You never know. Remember, there's only one world, and we all have to live in it. As always, thanks for listening to us, and we will see everybody on Monday.
Thanks for being with us today. Until next time.